parasites also have to be considered a factor in poor water quality. Sea shasta infestation has led to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of juvenile salmon migrating to the ocean.
Disease is actually taking a pretty significant part of the juvenile population out. Another real important thing to point out is we've looked in some of the major tributaries of the Klamath, the Trinity in particular, and we don't see these infections. It's not until those fish move into the Klamath River that they become infected. And what we have observed is that not only is the infection rate quite high in these groups, but the mortality due to these diseases is quite high, in the neighborhood of 80%. We're talking about large numbers of fish that are dying due to disease.
Two disease-causing parasites, sea shasta and parvicapsula, alternate between a salmon host and a polychaete worm host.
One of the major effects that the Klamath River hydroelectric project has to the Klamath River is the effect that it has on temperature. And it's a real profound effect and has big implications for salmon. Because of the dams, now water temperatures stay high, so the disease problem, in my opinion, is definitely caused partly by the thermal effects of the dams.
There are very large populations between Iron Gate Dam and the Scott River. That's where we've detected high numbers of parasites by holding sentinel fish, through our water filtration and detection of the parasite in the water. Another habitat where it seems to be found very often and in very high densities are large mats of the algae Cladophora, which kind of look like moss growing on the rocks. It's fairly dense substrate. We're looking at the effects of different flow rates on infection.
Below Iron Gate Dam, for juvenile fish, it's a death zone. The algae mats and the nutrient load, it's not being flushed out. The river is not being turned over below Iron Gate. Primarily, those fish diseases are related to poor water quality and low water, and the fact that dams are blocking the fish's migration, and the fish have to concentrate below the dam, so it creates kind of a vector for disease.
How can we avoid ocean overfishing of salmon? In addition to sufficient water quantity, fish habitat, and water quality, scientists and stakeholders are thinking about the effect of ocean salmon fishing on salmon numbers. Ocean salmon fishing was closed in 2006 because of low predicted returns to the Klamath River, and in 2008 and 2009 because of low predicted returns to the Sacramento River.
What is Project CROOS? Project CROOS is a digital tracking system to track Chinook salmon, figure out what the river of origin was from, and to locate weak stocks so that commercial fishing doesn't get shut down.
This affects tribal communities, fishermen, coastal economies, international fish markets, and the repopulation of salmon.
The reasons for Project CROOS were brought about due to the overfishing of groups of salmon. I say groups of salmon because all salmon come from a river of origin.
Project CROOS is a collaboration between science and scientists and fishing and fishermen. The collaboration is to get genetic material from fish on the ocean. Fishermen fish mixed stock fisheries, which means that the fish come from all different kinds of rivers. These fish are tested for genetic material. That genetic material is taken back, and within a certain time frame, fishermen and scientists know what river of origin that fish came from. Fishing on open stock fisheries in the ocean creates problems because the fish don't wear little signs that say, you know, I was born in the Klamath River, or I was born in the Umpqua River, or I was born in the Sacramento River. So by this genetic testing, knowing where the fish are at any time when they're at the time that they're caught, within, you know, maybe a 2 or 3 day turnaround, scientists and managers can say, you know, there's too many of one stock being caught in this particular time, so fishing needs to stop, or there's you're not impacting stocks that need to be avoided, so you can go ahead and fish.